So again, good afternoon. And for this session, we're going to talk about our final module, which is on ornamental productions and landscaping. So we only have two lessons. The lesson one for cut flower production in the Philippines and lesson two for landscape designs. So your quizzes um, for this module is just the same na mga questions from the previous ones. So, but then this is just all about mga flowers or ornamentals, no? So we have 5 questions for quizzes and hopefully you have started na kasi um, we are due for this month. And for your laboratory report, it's also about flower and ornamentals production. So that would be your requirements for the finals, which is due by next week. No, so hapit na siya. And to start with our lesson, while waiting for the others to come in, so we are going to talk about cut flower production in the Philippines, and later on, we are going to have video presentation for this week until next week on different commercial production of cut flowers. So when we speak of cut flowers, we all know that these are flowers that are ornamentals that are being cut from literally cut flower, and they are being, of course, used for designs, landscaping, and flower arrangement and everything, for aesthetic use. So in the Philippines, the ornamental horticulture industry have been started in the 70s, and it's the cut flowers were considered as major component na to hobbyists or growers or mga plant enthusiasts. And until now, and since then when we had the pandemic, so we have again recognized and made it into our hobby, kanang mga plantitas and plantitos nato. So it's because of the pandemic mas nag-ano pa siya, mas na-recognize. So also in the mid 80s, yung industry have become a huge income source and potential for even for foreign revenue. Now we have export and import and interest sa mga commercialization, and in the government already recognized the importance of horticulture ornamentals and cut flowers, not only for food, not only the food crops, but also this growing economy in the horticulture ornamental industry. So in terms of number and size of our farms, although nowadays it continued to increase, na nag-a-adapt ng mga modern technologies with foreign technologies para ma-boost yung production natin and quality. So we have been promoting ornamental horticulture products para ma-increase din ang ating awareness and eventually benefit in this industry. So I know kumpara doon sa mga food growers or food cup growers, between ornamental and cut flower hobbyists or growers or producers, syempre mas madami pa din ang because our priority is food. But then the floriculture industry in the Philippines, which is synonymous to horticulture industry, like mga flowers, ornamentals, it's already for both domestic and external trade. So again, as a review, last time we had the classification and introduction to the ornamental industry. So if you remember yung ating last time, so you just go back to the posted ng video, and also we had a PowerPoint presentation on that, on ornamental industry. So I have presented to you what are those cut flowers, like the fresh flowers, for example, chrysanthemum roses, Yon, and bouquet, wreaths, corsage, and other special flower arrangements. We also have mga foliage, no, like the grass, molasses, mosses and lichens, and dried ornamentals, yung ating dinadrive for decorations and so on. And other mga ornamentals like tree shrubs, bushes, roots, and cuttings for landscape purposes. So the DA, the Department of Agriculture, actually included the ornamental horticulture as key commercial crop development na program from 1996 to 2000. And yung DTI natin have adopted yung ornamental crops as export winner and also by the DOST. So, however, in our country, unlike in other countries, yung ornamental industry natin or horticultural industry is still very young, no? And although napaka-vital ang role nito sa local economy kasi we've been thinking na mas priority natin yung food, no, in the table, but we take for granted naman yung emotional part ng effect ng ating ornamentals, which is for aesthetic, for beauty, and we always look for beauty na that makes us feel good, make us feel happy. So if you have that feeling na pag makita mo ang mga nice na flowers, like when you're given maghatag mo flowers this coming Valentine's Day, no? Sa February 14. So I'm sure mahal na pud kay mga bulak ana, no? Since na may mga date and mga boyfriend, girlfriend, sana all, no? So at that time, it is not only that time that we acknowledge the importance of these ornamentals and flowers or cut flowers. Every day we have seen in our surroundings through our landscape, our garden, that they are actually contributing to our overall health. Now, although we cannot eat them as food, but psychologically sa ating mental and emotional health, they are actually contributing for that. So what is the present although for nag-penetrate na tayo for export market since then, no, but we are not yet a true global competitor pa din. So what is the present situation na ng ating cut flower production in the Philippines? So only very few or small growers, as I have said earlier, mas madami pa rin crop producers compared sa mga cut flower enthusiasts or farmers. So however, we have recognized or being aware na of na malaki din talagang kikitain natin, no, for ornamentals. And because of population growth, higher standard of living, so when you can afford flowers every day or flowers for special occasion, it also shows your standard of living. And for different hotels and restaurants, so makikita mo how sophisticated ang ating ang landscape and even ornamentals. And tourists, no? That is what tourists are looking for. And demand ng mga clients. So, however, nagkakaroon na tayo ng shortfall or supply in the domestic market. And we have no option but to import like chrysanthemum and orchids. So ayan, as just I have said, during Valentine's Day, even araw ng mga patay, no, we always use flowers for that. So we have here, like for example, July, aster, sampaguita, chrysanthemum, and heliconias. Now they are being produced in the field, but they also have cultural and light requirements, and they can also be grown in greenhouses and net houses, like in Benguet and in Baguio. If you have seen through videos or if you have personally come to Baguio or Benguet, that is our ornamental capital in the Philippines. So we also have commercial ones, no? And anthurium production, for example, we can use advanced technology like in a greenhouse with computerized fertigation facilities. When they say fertigation, yun yung um, both combination ng water at saka fertilizer, and net houses as well with light requirements. Another one is yung roses, no, which are grown in the greenhouses, and also gerbera, and what else? So they have intense heat and sun, heavy rains na mga protection, and other cultural management practices inside. So we also have Hasminum Sambak, our national flower before, Sampaguita, no, for our lei and garlands, and even every Sunday when we go to mass, no, for Catholics and Christian. And flowering for controlling flowering, like for chrysanthemum and aster. So usually we use light kasi mga short day plants sila. So if we extend the short days like night length, so mas mamumulaklak sila, ma-induce sila for flowering. Or if they are just for potted flowering plants. So we also have cold storage para ma-break ang dormancy ng gladiolus, for instance. No, we have post-harvest facilities for cut flowers in the UPLB and storage facilities. So those are example of the production management. So let me just again have a screenshot. Okay, so going back to how do we produce our planting materials? So depende yon, but mostly or generally we use cuttings, bulbs, tubers, corms, tissue culture. Makikita niyo mamaya sa video and na presentation natin, embryo culture, and for orchids, past culture, bottles, and so on. No, and usually first we, because there's no one supplying or only few supplying for mass production here in the Philippines. So usually we import from Malaysia, Thailand, and Hawaii, and other also local nurseries. So initially we purchase from them, and like for chrysanthemum, we use cuttings, budding for roses. So makikita nyo mamaya kasi we will start with rose production, marcoting, cutting, and anthurium division, sucker, gladiolus, corms, and cormus, and heliconias using division. So in big farms, gina-import na natin yung initial planting materials, which are all tissue cultured maybe or perhaps. So ito yung mga major producers of cut flowers in the Philippines. We have, for orchids, we have Laguna, Batangas, and for Visayas, Cebu, Negros, and in Mindanao here, we have Davao City and South Cotabato. So mostly nasa Davao City actually yung mga orchid farm natin, and a lot of ornamental na mga gardens. So we have anthurium also in Laguna, Benguet, Cavite, Batangas, Negros Occidental, and Davao City, of course, Cagayan de Oro, and Bukidnon. Same with roses, chrysanthemum, but for gladiolus only in Benguet, Laguna, and Cebu. Heliconias in Zamboanga, Gerbera in Laguna, Batangas, Cebu, and Davao, and carnation, aster, and so on. We have Sampaguita also, and Lilium satis on Benguet and Laguna and Cebu, but only Lilium in Davao City. So we also have a lot of varieties of cut flowers commercially grown in the Philippines. So to name a few, from roses, we have Red Success, Mercedes, and so on. And also for monks, we have Regan, Sirius, Fuji, and so on. And orchids, madami, no? And we even have Banda Sanderiana, which are really very famous here in Davao City. And Anthurium, Mita, Kaumana, and so on. We also have Chandler, Gladiolus, Friendship, Speak and Spawn. For liliums, we have Stargazer and also Cordelia. So nag-screenshots ako ha. And also we have For heliconia, we have parrot, parakeet, and so on. So yun yung mga varieties. So madami actually, and these are just few. No, and we also use mist beds for routing the cuttings and laboratories for embryo tissue culture ng mga orchids. So we have a lot of SUCs, universities, mga offices, and the Department of Agriculture and the OST, which are actually providing support for small fee. So for our planting material. And for marketing naman, we have the breeders, their growers, and input suppliers, traders, and cooperatives, and so on, including the brokers, exporter, importers, and mga institutional buyers and walk-in consumer as the main player, key player sila sa marketing ng ornamentals and cut flowers. So they have been improving varieties and cut flowers as backbone in the industry. So ito yung, like for example, there's something color or new breeds of this ornamental. So mahilig tayo no. And also we have input supplier, distributors of chemicals like fertilizer and so on, growth regulators, which are very important in ornamentals and cut flowers. So aside from that, we have also traders or a group of individuals na makadistribute ng cut flowers doon sa demand side. Like, yung capital natin, diba, yung Baguio. So, although in Mindanao, we don't need the, kasi meron tayong from Davao City, meron din tayong from Cagayan, yung malalamig na lugar. But of course, in Baguio, yung mostly in Manila, in the capital region, it all came from Benguet and Baguio, no? So ito yung we have traders, wholesaler, assembler, retailers, commission agents, mga wholesalers. Yung pagpunta ka sa mall, meron ng mga beautiful na mga flower shops doon, no? Mga florists, retailers, or vendors. And even sa mga hotels, yung mga lalaking hotels, no? And corporate buildings, they have their own horticulturist, no? So, or landscaper for that purpose. And for the transport naman, like crafts, no? By land and air, like planes, bus, vans, and jeepneys. So usually, yung papers or imported cut flowers and other suppliers are done by brokers. And then yung in-export na ng mga corporation and organization or individual entrepreneurs and like institutional buyers, also like hotels, restaurants, mga banks, offices, and so on. So minimal lang din ang mga purchases from the walk-in, like mga students, employees na only during special occasion. And wala tayong tinatawag na auction centers, mga few cooperatives lang for this purpose. And for export naman, limited lang din. Like for example, Gladiolus, and we have actually here at least in the table, no? So ito yung mga cut flowers that we are exporting since 1996 and their equivalent share and country. Like for Gladiolus in Korea, it's 46% share. And for Anthoria naman, going to Brunei and Japan, nasa 43%. So we also have liliums for Japan, roses for Hong Kong and Japan, and orchids for Italy and Japan. So ito yung mga export markets natin of cut flowers. For Japan, we have Anthurium, Lilium, roses, and orchids. For Korea, Gladiolus. For Brunei, Anthurium, Hong Kong, roses, and orchids for Italy. And their equivalent quantity in kilograms. So, napakadami ng Gladiolus. And ito yung ating ini-import naman since 1996 from the different countries. Like for chrysanthemum, we're still importing from Australia, Holland, Malaysia, and Singapore. Same with carnation, pom-pom roses, amaranthus, alstroemeria, lilium, gerbera, anthurium, tulips. Since tulips, no, imposible dito sa Pilipinas. But overall, kasi it needs winter, like in Holland, no, or now Netherlands. But in the Philippines, mostly like the roses and so on, only some varieties that are adapted to tropical countries or even subtropical sa ating mga highlands like in Baguio. So we can actually grow them. So therefore, we have the potential, no, for cut flower production because we have the ideal climate. We have the strength for cut flower production. We have good labor source and very cheap labor, and considering also we have wide available lands for tillage and for agricultural crops, so much more sa ating mga flat cut flowers, no? And we have also richness and diversity ng mga flora na kaya nating mag-breeding for that. So we have federation actually ng cut flower and ornamental plant growers, and with the help of mga non-government organization like USA, JICA, and Dutch na mga internationals. So above all, meron pa din tayo ng substantial shortage ng supply. Ibig sabihin, we cannot provide or we cannot suffice the demand from the locals. So we still import flowers from other countries like what I have been shown. So anong problema natin? We have specific constraint, no? Like the high cost ng mga greenhouse, irrigation, post-harvest facilities, which are very important. Makikita nyo mamaya sa video presentation, yung more sophisticated and high-tech na siya and mechanized. It's very expensive for us to produce cut flowers overall, and our technology is still insufficient kasi pag mechanized, so di masyadong afford ng ating mga farmers. Although we have the right knowledge and training is very we can access that, but in terms of budget or source ng ating investment or capital, mahirapan tayo, no? And still, in our country, and unlike in other country, napaka-young pa din, no? Ang ating industry sa cut flowers and ornamentals. So juvenile stage pa lang siya, and most of our mga enthusiasts and growers of cut flowers are still new or young muna in terms of experience. So I guess yun lang. Do you have any questions or clarification regarding cut flower production in the Philippines? And for next meeting or next week, we're going to have the second lesson 2, which is landscaping. So for now, if you don't have any more or much more questions or clarification, let's watch this video on rose muna tayo, and next time we will explore more on a lot, no? Actually, pinili ko itong rose greenhouse farming and harvesting. So overall, but shortcut lang ito, and we will find some more next meeting. So let's watch. Loading pa. What happened? So this is in Ecuador. Ayan yung tissue culture kanina na nakikita. And yan, those are just cuttings and then budding. Then puputulin na naman nila yan afterwards. Yun yung vermiculture. Vermicompost. So, mas maganda kasi sa mga roses and ornamentals yung high in organic or OM. Isko. Ako kaya siya. Greenhouse lang na, no? Pero ektarya lang greenhouse. So, naka-grading and sort na yan inside sa packing house. Yan, sa Netherlands man yan ata. So, na po sa mga preservation treatment no, to increase the shelf life. And of course, yung storage facility para ma-preserve ang moisture and quality. So, napaka-mechanized na sa packaging nila. And still, since flower siya, it's really taken care. Okay, so yun lang muna, no? And although we still have more than 10 minutes siguro, so do you have questions or clarification before we end?
Wala ma'am, wala ma'am.
Okay, how about Sir Jay? Busy guys, Sir Jay, oh.
Kabi dito, ma'am.
Busy
Oo.
kayo.
Ang mga property, ma'am,
Maumay.
magkakaayos.
Kasi first, first month of the year. So, remind ko lang kayo on your final requirements, no? We have the quizzes and the laboratory report. So, the same pa din for your what to do with your laboratory report. The same pa din doon sa ginawa niyo on vegetables and fruits, no? So you can make use of your own landscape garden if you have, or backyard, or yung mag-visit lang kayo ng flower farm or ornamental farm. And also if halimbawa nagtanaw lang mo video from YouTube or anywhere in the internet. So kung wala na mga pangutana, then that would be all. Thank you very much for attending, and see you again on Thursday. Jody, okay ra ka?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so sige, bye-bye. And you just chat me, and if you have further clarification and question. Sige, bye-bye and Happy New Year.